So here's some questions from my iMaths on multiplying fractions. In this video I'm going to do all the questions in part 1. So I've written them all down. 4/9 times 4/9 times 4/7. So when you're doing fractions, it's simply top times top, bottom times bottom. So 4 times 4 is 16, and 9 times 7 is 63. So that first one is 16 over 63. I think my pen's just about to run out. Let's see if I can find a new one. I might have to wait on that. Here's a red one. Let's use that. Okay, next one. 3/5 times 10/13. So 3 times 10, 30. 5 times 13, 65. But you might spot that both of those can, top and bottom, can be divided by something, so the fraction can be reduced. So the clues here, you've got 5 at the bottom and 10 at the top in the original thing, which both can be divided by 5. So in fact, if we divide top and bottom by 5, then we get an answer of 6/13, which is the fraction in its simplest form. Okay, next one. Top times top, bottom times bottom. 4/9 times 1/18. 4 times 1 on the top is 4. 9 times 18 on the bottom is 162. Now I can divide top and bottom of that by 2 to reduce it. So I'm really just dividing by 1. I'm not dividing by 2, because if I was dividing by 2 I would have half as much. So I'm not making the fraction smaller, I'm just dividing by 1, written in the form of 2 over 2. So I'm getting the same fraction but written in a different form, 2 over 81. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. 162 divided by 2 is 81. But I'm not dividing by 2. I'm really just dividing by 1. I'm dividing by 2 over 2. Okay, next one. So 4/9 times 3/10. 4 times 3 on the top is 12. 9 times 10 on the bottom is 90. So I've got 12/90ths, but that can be reduced. I can certainly divide top and bottom by 3, and thinking about it I can go further than that. I can divide top and bottom by 6. So I'm not really dividing by 6, I'm really dividing by 1 in the form of 6 over 6. So I'm not making my fraction any bigger or smaller, I'm just writing it in a different form. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. 90 divided by 6 is 15. So 12/90ths is the same as 2/15, and that's written in the simplest form. Now these top heavy ones, where it starts to get a little bit different, because you've got to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now these mixed numbers, like 9 3/4, is where it starts to get a little bit different, because you've got to make them top heavy first. So I'm going to make this top heavy by saying, well, let's just think about what we've got here. We've got 9 and some quarters. Now 4/4 is equal to 1. So if I want to make the whole thing into quarters, I've got to make 9 into quarters. So 9/4 will be 9 times as much, which will be 36/4. That sounded a little bit complicated, but the procedure for it is fairly straightforward. You just say 4 times 9 is 36, plus the extra 3 makes 39. So 9 3/4 is the same as 39/4, and then times 3/5. So 39/4 times 3/5, and now you've got something that's all in top heavy fractions, or whatever you want to call them, vulgar fractions, improper fractions. But having got them just as single fractions and not mixed numbers, then you can just do what you did before, which was top times top, bottom times bottom. So 39 times 3, let's try and do that in my head, is 117, I hope. I'm pretty confident of that. And then 4 times 5 on the bottom is 20. So I've got 117 20ths. Now, I'd ideally like my final answer to be a mixed number. That is to say, not a top-heavy fraction, but a number with a fraction. So I need to say to myself, how many times does 20 go into 117? So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, and then 120 is too much. So 20 goes into 117 5 times to get 100, but then we've got 17 left over, so it's 5 and 17 20ths. Final answer. Next one. So I've got 3/4 times 4 and a 6th. So I'd like to make that 4 and a 6th into a single fraction out of 6. So I say 4 times 6 is 24, plus the extra 1 makes 25. So that's the same as 3/10 times 25/6. And then I just do top times top. 3 times 25 is 75. Bottom times bottom, 10 times 6 is 60. 75 over 60 is a correct answer, but it would be neater to have it as a nice mixed number. So I say to myself, how many 60s can I get out of 75? Well, just 1, and then with 15 left over. So 1 and 15 60ths. But hold on a minute, I spot that 15 goes into 60, so the whole thing can be divided top and bottom. So dividing by, can you see with that pen? I don't think you can you? So let's go for the thick pen. So I'm dividing by, I'm not dividing by 15, I'm really just dividing by 1, but I'm writing 1 as 15 over 15, so that I can reduce that fraction to 1, and 15 divided by 15 is 1, 60 divided by 15 is 4. So it's 1 and 1/4. And the last question, well, they're spoiling us here because they've made both numbers mixed numbers. So I go 1 and a 6th, I want to write that as a big fraction out of 6, and 1 and 3/4 I want to write as a big fraction out of 4. So for 1 and a 6th, I go 1 times 6 is 6, plus the extra 1 makes 7, and then 1 times 4 is 4, plus the extra 3 makes 7. So I've got 7/6 times 7/4, and I just go top times top. 7 times 7 is 49, and bottom times bottom, 6 times 4 is 24. So 49 over 24 is a correct answer, but I would like that to be a nice mixed number. So I say, how many 24s can I get out of 49? Well, 2 times 24 would make 48. So I can get 2 24s out to make 48. But then I've got 1 left over. So it's 2 and 1/24. So now to the bit where we write all of that into iMaths. So there it is. So let's just get my pad and write down what I got. So I got 16 over 63. I got 6 over 13 when I reduce that to its lowest terms. I got 2 over 81 when I reduce that one to its lowest terms. I got 2 over 15 when I reduce that one to its lowest terms. Okay, this one I want you to put in all the steps. So 9 3/4 times 9 3/5. So we turned 9 3/4 into 39/4. So that was 39/4 times 3/5. We multiplied it out and we got 117 divided by 20, which was a top-heavy fraction or a vulgar or improper fraction. And then we figured out that that was the same as 5 and 17 over 20. Next one, we figured out that 4 1/6 was the same as 25/6. We multiplied those out and we got 3 times 25 is 75 and 10 times 6 is 60, and then we converted that to a mixed number which reduced to 1 and 1/4. And then the very last one with two mixed numbers, we converted the mixed numbers to 7 over 6 times 7 over 4. We multiplied them out to get 49 over 24, and then we tidied that up to make it into 2 and 1 over 24. So now the moment of truth. Satisfying.